Well, hello, friends. We've learned over the last few days some interesting things. First off, that being kind is a blessing to other people. And that when we are a blessing, then we receive the blessing ourselves. But is any of this a blessing to God? Today is December 11th, 2013, and these are grace moments from my journey home.
Somebody's miracle, 'cause every day we're learning. Life's all about sharing the journey.
Friends, we're going to continue our study in Philippians chapter 4. Only one more verse today. It's going to be verse 18 as Paul says this to us. I have received full payment and more. I am well supplied, having received from Epaphroditus the gifts you sent, a fragrant offering, a sacrifice acceptable and pleasing to God. There are a number of things that we can glean from this one little verse. First of all, if you remember from yesterday, we realized that Paul wasn't all about receiving the gifts that the Philippian church was going to give to him, but rather he was excited because he knew that as they gave their gift, as they ministered to him, as they made their offerings, that they were going to receive a special blessing as well. But Paul, here we are so happy to hear that he has received full payment. So he received the blessing as the Philippian church wanted him to. And even more, he says, I'm well supplied. He says, I've received your gifts. But then he goes on one step further, and something that we need to really hear today to be encouraged as Paul continues to teach this Philippian church. In the second half of this verse, Paul uses some phrases that we see in other parts of Scripture. Now we have to be really careful about this because these phrases are used in the context of a Jewish audience, but nonetheless I think it gives us some insight. This phrase of a fragrant offering, a sacrifice acceptable and pleasing to God. You see, we read in Genesis chapter 8 about a sacrifice being a pleasing aroma to God as he was making the decision to make a covenant with Noah, never to destroy the world again with a flood. And then again we hear the words in Hebrews as he speaks of this act of worship, an act of sacrifice, as the writer of Hebrews shares this idea. That reference in Hebrews is something that I heard just about every week that I would go to church as a young boy, because every time they decided to take up an offering, they would say these words, to do good and to distribute, forget not, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. And what a wonderful thing for the Philippian church to hear that what they were doing, not only to bless Paul, not only receiving a blessing themselves, but in fact blessing God because this was an act of worship. Friends, let me encourage you today with this thought. It's nice to be kind to someone else. It's even nice to receive kindness back or to feel that extra blessing when you share a blessing with someone else. But friends, anybody can be kind. Anybody can receive kindness. But as Christians, as Christ-following people, as believers in this age of grace, what a privilege it is to know that it's even beyond that. It's not just being kind. It's not just receiving kindness, but it is worship to our God who is worthy. Friends, be encouraged and worship God today in the sacrifice of service you make to Him and to others. God bless you.
Somebody's miracle, 'cause every day